You ever have that feeling, that little flicker inside you that knows there's this massive, untapped potential just waiting? Well, Tony Robbins says that's not just a feeling. He calls it the giant within. So the big question is, how do we wake it up? Let's dive into the core ideas from his work on taking immediate control of your life. And this, right here, this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? We read the books, we watch the videos, we know we should exercise more or save more money or, finally start that big project. The knowledge is there. But there's this huge gap between knowing the path and actually walking it. And that gap, well, that can define a lifetime. I mean, if we all have this giant inside of us, and a lot of us know what we're supposed to be doing, what's the invisible force that's holding so many of us back? What is that wall we keep running into? Let's figure it out. Okay, so let's start chipping away at that invisible wall. To really understand how to move forward, we have to first nail down the one thing that truly shapes our destiny. And listen, it's not your background, it's not your job or your current situation. It's something way more powerful, and it's something you have total control over. This right here is the fundamental principle. A real decision isn't just saying, I'd like to. No, it's a commitment where you completely cut off any other possibility. Because think about it, if you don't actively decide how you want to live, you have, by default, decided to let your circumstances rule you. The power to change everything is sitting right there, in the power of one single committed decision. So if decisions are the engine, what's the fuel? What's the thing that drives every single choice we make, from what we eat for breakfast all the way up to our biggest life goals? It actually all boils down to two primal forces, and they're hardwired into every single one of us.
That's it, pain and pleasure. Every single thing you do all day long is an attempt to either avoid something you think is painful or to gain something you think is pleasurable. Procrastinating on a task? Yep, you're avoiding the perceived pain of doing it. Binge watching a show? You're gaining that instant pleasure. These two forces are like hidden puppet masters steering your life, often without you even realizing it. And as it turns out, one of them is usually way, way stronger.
And this example just nails it, right? It shows you exactly which force usually wins. The fear of loss, that drive to avoid pain, is a much more powerful motivator for most people than the desire for gain. It's exactly why quitting a bad habit is so tough. The short-term pain of quitting feels so much more real and intense than the long-term pleasure of being free from it. Okay, but here's the twist. What I think is painful and what you think is painful could be totally different. Same goes for pleasure. It's all personal, and it gets filtered through our own unique control system, our beliefs. Our beliefs are literally the lens through which we see the entire world, and they're what dictate what we move toward and what we run away from. Let's use an analogy here, because it really helps. Imagine an idea is just a flat tabletop with no legs. Kind of wobbly, right? It can't stand on its own. But every time you have an experience that supports that idea, a reference, you add a leg to that tabletop. And if you get enough legs under it, that idea becomes a solid, stable belief that you feel absolutely certain about. And the strength of that belief, how solid that tabletop feels, really depends on two things. First, the number of legs, how many references you have. But second, and this one might be even more important, is the emotional intensity of those references. A single, super emotional experience can build a stronger belief than a dozen tiny ones put together. I mean, just think about the 4-minute mile. For centuries, the world's best athletes, doctors, scientists, they all believed it was physically impossible for a human to do. It was a global belief. But the moment Roger Bannister did it, he didn't just break a record. He shattered that belief for everyone. He created a powerful new reference point. And in the year that followed, 37 other runners did the same impossible thing. That's the power of changing a belief. All right, so if our lives are shaped by these beliefs, and we know for a fact that beliefs can be changed, how do we actually do it? How do we go from just understanding the problem to actively rewiring our own minds for success? Let's get into the system for making that happen. This is the practical nuts and bolts how-to. It's a system called neuroassociative conditioning, or NAC. Don't worry about the fancy name. The whole point is to consciously change what you link pain and pleasure to in your nervous system. You're basically breaking down those old, worn-out neural pathways and building brand new superhighways that automatically lead you toward the results you actually want. And here's the roadmap. First, you get absolutely crystal clear on what you want. No more vague ideas. Second, you've got to get leverage on yourself. You make it way more painful to stay the same than it is to change. Then you literally scramble the old pattern, install a powerful new one, and then you condition it. You rehearse it over and over until it becomes your new automatic default. It's a conscious process for creating real lasting change. Now, knack is an awesome system for those big, deep changes. But what about day to day, in the moment? What can you do right now to take control of your state of mind? Turns out there are some surprisingly simple tools we can all use. You can change how you feel this very second in one of two ways. First, change your physiology. Your emotions and your body are totally linked. It is almost impossible to feel depressed if you're standing up tall, breathing deep, with a big, goofy smile on your face. The second lever is to change your focus, because wherever your focus goes, your energy flows. It's that simple. So how do you change your focus on command? You do it by changing the questions you ask yourself all day long. Asking, why does this always happen to me, focuses you on the problem and the pain. But asking, okay, what can I learn from this? Or how can I turn this around? That directs your mind straight towards solutions and resources. Your questions are basically the controller for your mental focus. And this one is so simple, but it's really profound. The words you use to label an experience literally become the experience for you. If you call a setback a failure, you feel all the heavy weight of that word. But if you call it a learning experience, suddenly you feel empowered. By just consciously choosing less intense words for negative feelings, you can literally talk yourself into a better state of mind. Okay, so let's tie this all together. We've seen that our destiny is shaped by our decisions. Those decisions are driven by our beliefs about pain and pleasure. And we now know that we have the tools to consciously change those beliefs and our emotional state at any moment. So that brings us to the final and most important step. This is the core message of everything we've talked about. You already have the capability. You do. The resources you need are already within you. The power to change isn't something you have to go out and find. It's something you just have to decide to use. It all comes back to raising your standards and making a true, committed decision that you will not settle for anything less than you can be. Look, at the end of the day, all of this information is totally useless without action. It's that gap between knowing and doing we talked about at the start. So the only question that really matters now is this one. What one thing, big or small, will you decide on right now to start awakening that giant that's waiting inside you?